Oh, hi, everyone. Welcome to the Aspiring Women Achieving More Masterclass series. I could not be more excited to welcome my friend and GoBundance homegirl, Rachel, the short-term gems, uh, soon to be Netflix queen. Can't wait for her to tell you all of the things that she's been working on. I have learned so incredibly much from her, and can't wait to do my own first short-term rental. So I'm just going to go ahead and let her take over. And Rachel, what did I leave out of your intro? She's a pharmacist by day. All you send out the short-term rental bad signal, she comes a running. What did I leave out of your bio?
You got it, lady. You got it. I actually have a few slides I wanted to share, if that's okay with you. And I have a little intro in there as well.
I made it shareable, so it's the show is yours, my friend. Thank you for doing this.
Fantastic. Oh, absolutely. It's such an honor. It's easier that way for me to kind of stay on track and not digress too badly if I have some slides to share. So let me share this screen and I'm going to start my little PowerPoint situation. You guys can see all of how the sausage is made, right? All right. Okay, so you guys, I want to make this as interactive as possible. So feel free to stop me at any point. I am taking questions. And if Mandy, if I missed hand raising or anything like that, or comments in the question queue, please stop me because I don't have all the visibility of all the things.
You got it.
Awesome. All right, guys. So I just kind of cannibalized a few slides from a webinar and masterclass that I've been doing a little bit. So I just want to share with you guys a little bit of what I've been up to and give you a few tools to use as you're looking to venture into short-term rentals, specifically luxury short-term rentals. So what I like to do when I'm first getting started is just to do a quick 20-minute property search. I call it my 20-minute dream property search party. So I try to make it fun because it's data and data can be boring, right? And so I try to make it cutesy. So it's my it's a party, so to speak. And what it does for me is when I'm breaking into a new market that I'm not very familiar with, I can quickly identify whether or not a market is viable, outside of just reading blogs and so on and so forth. So all it entails really, guys, is you would Google search AirDNA rentalizer or AirDNA calculator. Okay, so when you do the rent calculator, you would find a screen that looks like this, similar. And what you would do is then add in the address of the property that you're looking at. And you can try it tonight if you haven't done so before. You can add in your home address, right? Just as a test. You add in the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, and your estimated number of guests that you think you will serve in that property. So bear in mind, my personal rule of thumb, honestly, guys, is 3 per bathroom. And so if it's a property that has 2 bathrooms, I can feasibly serve 6 guests. Okay. However, if it's like a really tiny condo with a small footprint, or if it's a large home with just large open spaces, you can play around with that number a little bit and go up or down where you're comfortable based on the layout. But for me, the rule of thumb is about 3 per bathroom. I have gone up to 4 per bathroom for our larger homes. Okay, and so once you put that in and just start off, I would recommend start off just using the free trial. Don't pay for it yet, but you can get some of this information with the free version of it. So once you put that in, the address, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and guests, you'll get the annual revenue, the average daily rate, and the occupancy rate, okay? And so that already gives me a little bit of an idea of what that property would generate potentially. But honestly, the most important number to me is the occupancy rate. And the reason is that it gives me an idea of that region, whether or not it is a highly sought after location with high rental demand. Anything under 50% is a non-starter for me. I'll tread with 49, but if it's I had a client who came with a property that was at 30%. It's really difficult to bounce back from a 30%. Okay. So if it's 49%, 50%, I'm good to go. And you guys will be good to go because you're professional hosts, and you will definitely be able to increase that occupancy rate based on the amenities you provide for your guest communication, the way you host, and so on and so forth. Okay. So I really think this occupancy rate is the most important thing here. And I want it to be 50% or higher. These other numbers are okay, but for my properties, I have always found that AirDNA, and this is a data aggregator from Airbnb, this tool underestimates my property's revenue by about 30% in my Poconos market, in my Florida market, as well as my Georgia markets. Okay, so I can speak to those markets as well as my Tennessee Smokies market. It underestimates me by 30%. Okay. So just wanted to give you guys that tool just to get started.
What are your markets, if you don't mind? The Poconos, you said Florida and Georgia. Where specifically are you there, just for our knowledge?
Absolutely. So in the Poconos markets, we have 10 properties there throughout the Poconos Mountains. The Florida market, we're on the panhandle of Florida, in between Destin and Panama City Beach, in an area called Rosemary Beach. And in Georgia, we are in suburban Georgia. We're not in Atlanta. We're not in any vacation rental locations in Georgia. We're actually in suburban Georgia, and our clientele are executives that are traveling to the area for relocation and so on and so forth, and insurance. So not vacation rental at all. And the Smokies of Tennessee, we're in a vacation rental location there as well. So mostly vacation, and then one that's corporate.
I like it. We had a question just come in. The underestimation, does it underestimate because it's booked more, or because it's booked at a higher rate, or both?
Both. Yeah. So the underestimation comes from both. So I like to keep my vacation rental markets, the larger homes, and we primarily deal with single family homes, 5 to 8 bedrooms. The larger homes are booked at about 70%. On the beach, I like to keep it at 65 to 70%. I don't need higher than that because it's not worth it for me to go higher than that in occupancy. In order to increase that occupancy, I would need to lower my price. Then it's kind of not worth it. So I have a very contrarian approach to my pricing strategy. So some people will lower until they're booked to 90 something percent. No, not for my larger homes. The smaller travel nurse type homes, yeah, I'll lower it to get it booked, but I do have that threshold where I still want to more than break even. I hope that helps.
Great.
Awesome, awesome. So overall, I just wanted to start you all off with a quick little tool. Take 2 minutes, pick 3 cities to invest in. Go on Zillow, Realtor.com, or Redfin, or if you have a realtor license, jump on the MLS, find a few properties and test it out and let me know what you think. So shouldn't take more than a few minutes just to start looking at different markets and breaking into market. And the reason I start off here, guys, I want to kind of disarm the fact that a lot of people come in, I don't know where to invest, and that overwhelm. Do this 2 minutes. Don't delay. Just take 2 minutes and find 3 cities that you're interested in, plug and chug, and see what you come up with. Again, emphasizing the occupancy rate. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let me introduce myself real quick to you guys, you lovely, beautiful people. There we go. Some of you know me, some of you do not know me. And if you do not know me, my name is Rachel. This is my husband, Jesse, in the middle. He's a psychotherapist for at-risk youth at Atlanta Public Schools. And these are my boys, Ethan and Luke. Ethan just started high school. Luke is still in elementary. And these are our pups, Peggy, Dash, and Grasshopper. Peggy and Hoppy, they're kind of Facebook famous in our neighborhood. They're our chugs. And if you look here closely, yes, we are at the Netflix studios in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where they filmed The Breaking Bad. And they were featuring one of our luxury short-term rentals, and they're here on site at our property as well. But what you all know, and obviously you all know this because you all are in Aspiring Women, is that 90% of millionaires are made through real estate investing. And so for us, creating a profitable short-term rental portfolio has been one of the most powerful and strategic ways to make an impact while growing our income and our freedom. And we're getting those to life-changing levels. And oh, real quick, guys, let me confirm. Are you all seeing my note screen or my good screen?
Good screen.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. So again, the first question I always get asked is location, location, location. And that's going to be the most, it's an old adage, if that's how you pronounce it, but it's going to be really important to identify the location that you want to invest in. And we have been really fortunate in the ability to invest in our own backyards, as well as remotely, you know, in other states, and have done very, very well. But what I want to emphasize to you, I do have door envy, and I know, Mandy, you're in the commercial space, right? And so when I hear Mandy's deals, you know, her 3,000 doors, I'm like, I want 3,000 doors on a deal or something like that, you know. But what we have found is you only need 1 to 2 top performing properties to be insanely profitable in short-term rental world, because you can really leverage the amenities on these properties. You can really make a huge, huge impact on your revenue, which is 1 or 2 really, really good properties. And just high level, the strategy that we use 1031 exchanges and so on and so forth to kind of level up and either get closer and closer to the water or closer and closer to top amenities that we know are performing. And we study, we're students of the locations, we're students of the amenities, and so on and so forth. So it does matter. But before I do any numbers, guys, you have to know the regulations. Okay. And if we have realtors on here, I think that's going to be really key and such a great service if you can identify the regulations and the areas where your investors can operate. And I've found time and time again, you know, it's not the easiest thing to keep under wraps, right? Because regulations are changing all the time. It's a relatively new market or a relatively new asset class from a regulatory perspective, because you know regulations are changing for short-term rentals on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so the first step I would recommend is Google short-term rental ordinance and your city, and Google short-term rental ordinance and the county. Okay, and if you're going to find a couple of things. You may find there's an ordinance from a newspaper article. You may find, tabloid type articles. What you're looking for is the actual Municode, the ordinance that are in the Municode, because that is going to be the rule, what's in the Municode. However, if you don't find the Municode, the next thing you would do is call the county clerk's office. And if you call the county clerk's office and you ask them, what are the short-term rental regulations for this particular area? And they say, well, there is none. The next question is, what's on the agenda for short-term rental regulations coming up? Because there may be something drafted on the agenda and you want to know what's going on there. And if you don't, oh, go ahead, Mandy.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. So you were saying Municode. This is not something I deal with a lot. MUNICODE. That is like a word that anyone in regulation would know and have heard before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's great. The coding. I don't know the definition off the top of my head, but it's where the laws and the codes live. And if you look up Municode, every city, every county, all of the codes are spelled out in there.
Great. So basically the codes of the municipality are known as the Municode. That's you know what? That's a word I hadn't learned before. So that's a coffee drinking. Thank you.
Cheers. And thanks for putting that together. Yeah, absolutely. And the next body or entity, and it's going to be different per township, and they call them different things, but cities, counties, townships, Louisiana calls it something a little different, parishes or something like that. Yeah, parishes. Okay. So,
Thank you.
so they call it something different, but the next body you want is whatever's equivalent to the zoning department. And for us in my county, it's called like building and maintenance or something like that. That's the zoning department, right? And these zoning folks, I will tell you, they're a little tricky. And if anyone here is in zoning, I apologize, but y'all are a little tricky, okay? And they love to create rules under the cloak of darkness. And you may wake up in the morning and ta-da, there's a new zoning rule. And it's like, hey, wait a minute, right? And so zoning. So if you do reach out to zoning, just kind of be on your guard a little bit. And if they want all the things, they're asking all the questions and, you know, what's your name? What's the address you're thinking of this and that? Say, I am a citizen and I'm asking what the codes and what the rules are. And that is my right. I pay taxes here. Don't mess with me kind of thing. You know, just you got to be a little bit upfront. And if you're not comfortable doing that, definitely partner up with whoever's doing advocacy in your area and have them make the calls for you. And so think about that as well. If that exists, it doesn't exist everywhere, but something to take into consideration. All right, so I'm going to pause here to see if there's any new questions or any comments that we want to address.
Nothing is in the chat. Does anybody have anything on this so far? You are already a wealth of information, Rachel.
Oh, good. Did Lorena, did you? Yes, she raised her hand. Hey, Lorena.
Yeah. Hi, Rachel. Thanks for coming today. So I'm wondering how many short-term rentals you own, and you talked about the areas they were in, but I forgot already. So could you tell me that, please?
Absolutely. So right now we own 6 short-term rentals. However, we also operate for investors as well. So a total of 18 in the portfolio, from an owned to an arbitrage, and we'll talk about that in a moment, to a co-hosting as well. The markets are the Poconos of Pennsylvania. So that's going to be a vacation rental market. The Smokies of Tennessee, the Panhandle of Florida, where between Destin and Panama City Beach, and a non-vacation rental area in the suburban area of Georgia, Peachtree City, Georgia. Not a lot of people are familiar with Peachtree City, Georgia, but it's just a big film industry here, and it's more of corporate rentals, executives coming into town, that kind of thing. So not vacation rental friendly, not vacation rental per se, but more like you know, executive workforce housing type of thing.
Okay, thank you. And then the 6 that you own personally or in, I'm assuming, collaboration with a partner, do you, are those all luxury rentals? And I'm sure you'll talk about it, but I just want to like maybe orient you towards talking about why it's better to purchase a luxury short-term rental than just like your average house.
Yeah, so I would consider them luxury because there are going to be different levels of furnishings, Lorena, and different levels of setup that would kind of identify whether the property is standard versus luxury versus ultra luxury. And so I operate primarily in the luxury space. So the ultra luxury space, my friend Bruce Westaway, he does ultra luxury, and ultra luxury would be your 5-figure per night units, you know, so the home is 12,000 per night. Mm-hmm. You have to, you know, you enter by airplane or helicopter. That's the only way you have access to that property. So that would be ultra luxury. I don't dabble in that space like at all. So I'm more of a luxury. And so what orients and what kind of informs me that a property has the potential to be luxury is some of the key amenities that are going to be the highest priority for that market. And so, for instance, for our Rosemary Beach property, no one has a hot tub, right? So that's not going to be something that I add on as an amenity. The only folks with a hot tub are condo communities. And so keep that in mind as you're searching for amenities. If you see, oh, everyone has a hot tub, well, really identify which units have a hot tub. If it's just condos, then that's not going to be a great comparable if you, in fact, are investing in a single family home. And the condos are going to have a shared hot tub, by the way. So bear that in mind. But if everyone has a swimming pool, you better believe that I'm looking for a property with a swimming pool, or I'm building a property that has a swimming pool on there, because that's going to really drive the value for that property and thereby drive the revenue. And so those are some key things that are sought after for specific communities. Similarly, in the Poconos, a hot tub and a swimming pool is going to be key, because we have 2 peak seasons, okay? We have the, I just want to sit by the lake seasons, you know, and then I want to ski seasons. And so that's a double peak season. And so the hot tub and the swimming pool are key for the Poconos region. However, if you're looking in a non-vacation rental market, or even a vacation rental market, the thing that I found that is difficult to overcome, and it kind of excludes you from creating a luxury experience for your guests. The thing that I found that is just absolutely difficult to overcome is a broad curb appeal. Okay, and what I mean by that is you can essentially turn any home into a luxury home. Structurally, you can update the kitchen, you can update the appliances, you can update the flatware, the sheets, and so on and so forth. If we're going to add Brooklinen sheets and that Nest breather pillow that's about $200 and $250 worth of Brooklinen sheets, you better believe that's going in the listing, right? That's going to be a luxury experience. However, as the guest is driving to the property, if it's situated in a neighborhood that is run down, the car is on blocks, and it doesn't matter how much you put into that particular property, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to overcome and market it as a luxury if the whole ambiance, the atmosphere as they enter that community, the other homes comparatively, if it doesn't exude a type of safe, well kept together look, so to speak, and I hate that we have to judge a book by its cover, it will exclude that property from being luxury. So there's a lot of flexibility with luxury, and you can definitely market a lot of properties that you would think are, oh, okay, this is a nice neighborhood, as luxury. So if we're in a non-vacation rental market, markets with great schools, it's going to go back to the old good schools, you know, because those tend to be where a lot of the tax dollars are. The roads are maintained a little bit better. And so that's pretty much where we operate in our non-vacation rental markets. So that's just one tidbit, but I'll go into what you can put into the property that can up-level it to a luxury feel in a moment. Is that helpful, Lorena? Okay.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get your viewpoint of where you were coming at a luxury property, and that was really helpful. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. And you will find luxury is going to be defined differently for different people across the world, really. So when I meet with my luxury cohorts in Europe, right, their thoughts of luxury is something that's, you know, 1,500 pounds per week is their thoughts of luxury. So it's going to be based on a price point. But for US and millennials, it's going to be a little bit different from that. Okay. So I think vacation rental markets are obvious, right? In terms of, we all know the vacation rental markets are tried and true, right? And so I don't want to go too deep into that, but I will tell you the markets that are highly regulated, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? So I have people that come to me and say to me, Rachel, I can't operate in Miami, it's banned, or I can't operate in the Poconos, it's banned. And this is where you all have such a great opportunity, because it's never really banned everywhere, right? All you need to know is the street or the road or the community or the little section where it's allowed, and then you target that, okay? So where is it banned? That's important to know, but where is it allowed? And that's where you want to operate and live there and invest there, because the competition essentially is lower. People think it's banned. Oh, people say to me all the time, Miami's banned. but we see all these people operating in Miami. Well, they've identified where it's allowed, or they're operating illegally, and we're not going to build our house on sinking sand and operate illegally, like, at all. But knowing where it's allowed is huge, right? So vacation rental markets are a no-brainer. The Poconos, I will tell you, is highly regulated. The zoning is very specific to what's banned, what's not banned, which county, and so on and so forth, okay? But let's talk a little bit about the areas that are non-vacation rental markets, if that's okay with everyone, because I do believe if you want to start in your own backyard, I believe that's a great way to dipping a toe, just to see, you know, what is expected. And then if you want to outsource it, you know, later on, outsource it, but just to get an idea of how to operate. So for me, if you're within 30 minutes of any of these industries pictured here, I think you have an excellent and viable short-term rental. So that's 30 minutes within a hotel. The hotel has already done the research, right? So when I was doing traveling, for work, I would go to like the boondocks of Buffalo, New York, somewhere in Pennsylvania. There were no hotels. Like, I never knew there were places where there were no hotels. So it identified quickly to me that, oh, this is an area that really is not a market that gets a lot of travelers. And so this is when I was catering to rural hospitals, you know? So if there are no hotels, you know, then you know that maybe it's not going to be a high travel, high rental, short-term rental demand. However, if you're 30 minutes within a hotel, hospital, university, or airport, so those four, hotel, hospital, university, or airport, any one of those, definitely, you have great potential for a short-term rental. Okay. And also, if you're 30 minutes within a specific industry, special industries such as Tesla or Facebook, in my area, there's the film industry and so on and so forth. And we cater to the folks in the film industry. It's like the Hollywood of the South in Georgia all of a sudden. And so definitely you have potential for a short-term rental because the workers are traveling to get to that location.
I think that brings up a point. Are you venturing into places where there are currently no short-term rentals, where there would be no data from AirDNA giving you what current, do you see what I'm asking?
I do. So there are 3 market categories that AirDNA breaks down for short-term rentals. So there are small markets, medium markets, and large markets. Small markets are markets where there are short-term rentals, less than 100 short-term rentals in that particular market. Medium markets are where there are 100 to 1,000 short-term rentals in that particular market, and large markets are greater than 1,000. And the greater than 1,000 are the ones that we all went to when we were growing up, maybe, just like the markets that have been here for years, in like decades, right? So those are going to be the large markets, right? So what is your risk tolerance? You're going to want to ask yourself that, right? Do you want to just, I'm going to stick to the 1,000 plus market because I know this is tried and true. I'm not going to rock the boat. Absolutely, you know, so we have some in those. But at this point in my career and my investing life, I'm looking for a deal. So I'm living in the medium market. I'm dabbling in the small market as well. And so, but I'm looking at rental demand and year over year. So if there were 10 units and this year there are 50 units and I'm looking at the revenue and the revenue is increasing, I'm definitely interested in that unit that's in the smaller market. So small, medium, and large, but I like to live in the medium so that I can still get a good deal. The large markets, you're going to pay a premium for those properties. And then the competition is very stiff as well, because now you have to keep doing things. Okay, now I got to throw in a Peloton, come on, right? True story.
Great,
to really stand out. So I hope that answers your question.
Sure did, thank you.
Awesome. But here's the deal, guys. Travelers are looking for an experience, right? The unique stays are winning. So I have a girlfriend whose property, she's operating a property. It's a 500 square foot A-frame. It grossed $130,000 last year. Okay. People want to say, oh, I stayed in a tiny house. People want to say, oh, I stayed in this cute little Airstream situation. People want to say I stayed in, and it's insane. Glamping. Look, this is like an igloo tent situation, right? People want to have an experience, and that is a part of the luxury stay as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't cover that. So it's not about necessarily the accumulation of things, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but you'll see even on the Airbnb platform that unique stays and eco-agricultural travel is the winner. Okay, people want to reconnect with nature. They want to be in a tent somewhere. They want to be out, in the woods. They want to be in a rural setting. They want to, they just want to be reconnected with nature is what the data is showing for these last 2 quarters because of the way the search patterns are. So eco-agricultural travel is a big deal right now. And we're actually looking at creating a glamping experience. We're looking at ordinances and all of that stuff to see if we can get approved, buy a lot of land, right? And throw on some tents and yurts and all of that stuff. It seems like fun. We'll see where we go with that as well. So definitely something that is not going to break the bank, and that's part of it, but can definitely provide a luxury experience as well. All right, so again, I think I've kind of covered this a little bit, but our strategy is how do we own and operate the least number of properties that generates the highest profitability. Just start thinking to yourself, do you currently have an asset that you can leverage as a short-term rental? I helped a client a couple of weeks ago set up his boat as a short-term rental, right? So gone are the days where you're thinking of a boat as something that is just, a liability. It can definitely be a lifestyle asset if it's something that you enjoy and you can offset the cost of it. All right. And again, so some of the tools that I use to do my research as I'm breaking into a new market, AirDNA is one. Mashvisor is another tool if you guys want to take a look at that. And PM companies, in other words, property management companies, I actually utilize the blogs that they put out there. I reach out to sometimes just to ask them, like Vacasa, the Evolve. I reach out and ask them, questions about the area and see what their thoughts are, just to get a second opinion if I'm really ready to go in. Okay. So think to yourself, are you looking to start in your own backyard? Are you thinking of going into a vacation rental market where you're hosting remotely? So there are definitely, advantages of starting in your own backyard, right? You're there, you have all your resources, you're in your own territory, you can find your vendors, you can find your cleaners, your maintenance crew, that's definitely an advantage. However, if you live in an area where it's highly regulated towards a ban or unfairly regulated, then it's going to be a little bit difficult. And so hosting remotely is going to be an option. And when you host remotely, you kind of keep your options open. You end up, being able to identify the top 1% deals that are out there. So don't sleep on hosting remotely. I know, for instance, an article just came out on Sunday that the travel is going to be open for Europeans to come in from different countries that if they're fully vaccinated. So they're going to open that up. And I got to tell you, my Orlando friends, they're getting a significant uptick because it is Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary and sales are really, really high. And these guests, they're booking. And so that's definitely something, to understand that hosting remotely may provide you opportunities that you may not find in your own backyard. I just want to make sure you all were aware of that. Okay, so we talked a little about this. This is actually, I just cited here an article that was published in Bigger Pocket that I published, I think, a year ago or beginning of the year. So based on my findings, There are 15 luxury short-term rental tips that I share in that article that won't break the bank. I just wanted to cover maybe 3 with you guys today. And so, luxury offerings, I have it listed here, ultra luxury offerings. I have them listed here, fresh. And I will tell you, quarter to quarter, as our business grows, we work to implement additional add-ons. So we do have a good relationship with a private chef that we can utilize as an offering, right? I'm not going to be doing the cooking, but I have a private chef that we can offer. We have a private pilot, that we offer also. I'm not flying the plane, not yet. I'm working on my license soon, just for fun. But, we can offer that private pilot. And these offerings really come from the request of the guests. So really knowing your guests and knowing what they're wanting, knowing what they're needing, you just kind of build that into your system. But what I really wanted to emphasize, and what I want you all to know, that modern luxury is really different from traditional luxury. Traditional luxury is where you're accumulating things, right? But I can go on Amazon right now and accumulate all the crap I want, right? So that's not luxurious anymore. Matter of fact, that's clutter and that's stressful that you just keep buying stuff and buying stuff. And yeah, so that is not going to be, modern luxury. Modern luxury is actually accumulation of experiences, right? So it's the accumulation of not really things, but things that will enhance your relationship with your loved ones. Okay, luxury travel is it. And short-term rental operators were really, really poised to answer to that call. People want a new experience. And the journey starts from them looking at your listing like, wow, that looks great. You stopping to scroll. And we all know by now in the short-term luxury or the short-term rental world, we have to have really good pictures. You stop the scroll, they're looking at it. As soon as they reach out, someone answering in a very timely manner, and then that whole journey that the guest is going to take is part of that luxury experience, okay? So I don't wanna harp too much on it, but definitely the ultimate luxury is the experience and its convenience. Check-in, check-out needs to be easy breezy. They shouldn't be struggling to hear back, and so on and so forth. So what I conclude and I want to share with you guys are 3 simple ways you can actually implement a luxury stay is number 1, king size beds. So a king size bed is the ultimate luxury bed for the traveler. And so typically you will see a lot of short-term rental operators, they say just keep it to the queen, because the ted's to bed and make it, just very easy for turnover. And I get that, but the ultimate luxury travel bed is a king size bed, end of story. So if you can implement a king size bed anywhere in your property, implement at least 1. Okay, I will tell you, we have 1 king size in all of our properties at minimum, and the property that we're building will have 4 king size bedrooms and then 1 bunk room. Okay, the second thing is quality natural fiber linens. Okay, so, and I know a lot of people, and this is controversial, polyester and microfiber, those kinds of things. I just stick to cotton. And I know bamboo, I've heard bamboo is good too, but I just stick to cotton. Quality natural fiber linen. So anything that touches the guest's skin has to be soft and high quality. So keep that in mind, okay? And the third thing, and so this actually was, I think, number 8 or 9 on my list, but it moved up quickly, is super fast Wi-Fi. Super fast Wi-Fi. So this is a deal breaker for a guest when they're in your property, and a lot of these guests are now digital nomads and they're trying to work and it's taking forever for their email to load. There's nothing more like discouraging than that slow to load email situation. So super fast Wi-Fi. Those are 3 things that I wanted to share with you guys that I think if you do have a short-term rental right now, you can quickly implement that. King size bed, quality natural fiber linens, and super fast Wi-Fi. Those 3, I think you can implement within the quarter and have your property start to approach that luxury feel. So I hope that's helpful. And Mandy, remind me, how are we doing on time?
It's 12:42 Central Time. We have you scheduled till noon. Do you have an easy link to this blog post, or I can search it for you?
Yeah, if you don't mind searching it.
Yep, you got it. I'll put that in the chat for you.
Okay, awesome.
15, we have 15-ish minutes left, so however long you need, but folks are probably on a lunch break, so.
Yeah, I'm same. Same, lady. Yep. And literally I'm with you, and then I'm getting like everything's trying to blow up on me. I'm like, I'm with the gals now, so get it together. Okay, so how much does it really cost to get started? And the answer to that question really is it depends. And I really have found, and this is something that we actually started this year, that you can even get started on a smaller budget. And so what I wanted to share with you guys are the 3 ways to host. I'm just going to go over it real quick. Because this is actually a strategic move that we've taken. So we've utilized, for the most part, residential loans. We're looking into portfolio loans as well, but finding a great deal in some of the markets that I'm interested in, the prices have gone through the roof. So we've actually looked at 2 other ways that we're hosting, and I just wanted to kind of highlight that with you. So landlord owner, and this is a picture of one of our properties in the background there, and you'll see pictures of our different properties as I go through them. So landlord owner is just a typical, I bought a house, I set it up as a short-term rental, I'm renting it. What I found with that model is I love it. I mean, I get the highest cash flow typically, and I get the highest equity, right? But the bottleneck for us has been the cost of entry. And we do have some investor partners that are coming alongside to help out with that bottleneck. But you need, 10, 15, 20% down, right? So that's going to be not the easiest to provide, in all instances, in all economic environments. So one pivot shift that we did, we've been going like gangbusters. So the definition of a rental arbitrage is really where you lease a property from a homeowner or from a REIT or from an apartment, and you rent that property from them and you rent it in your business with the plan, and this is fully transparent, to then go ahead and furnish it and provide it as housing, furnished accommodations as a short-term rental to others that are traveling, business travelers, and so on and so forth. So what I found the pros to that is the cost of entry is what? First month's rent, last month's rent, a deposit at most. Typically, it's just first month's rent for us at this point. The con, of course, you don't own it, so there's no equity. Startup cost is low, and I find the ROI to be pretty moderate, but it's there, right? And lastly is the co-host property management model. And so the definition of that pretty much is you're managing a property for another investor. So where, the investor already has the property set up or they need a little help setting up, but they want to take advantage of the short-term rental market, right? Who doesn't want to have a short-term rental where you're seeing 3x to 10x, the ROI compared to 3x to 10x the gross revenue compared to a long-term rental. So they want to do it, but they just do not have the bandwidth. And so since I do have the 5 VAs, the 10 cleaners, and the systems in place, they say, hey, could you do it for me? And so we charge anywhere from 10 to 30%, depending on the market and depending on our lift. And essentially, I do have the lowest gross with this type of hosting, but zero risk. I think the ROI is the highest because I really have no skin in the game from a financial perspective, other than the tools and the algorithms that I pay for on a month-to-month basis. So just wanted to put that out there. There are 3 different ways to host. And so my next insider tip, and this is a question that a lot of people aren't asking, but I think it's the most important question really. Who is that perfect customer or guest who wants and needs the exact value proposition that you're offering? So I call my guest avatar the Smith family. The Smith family essentially is me, right? I'm that girl who has the husband, the 3 dogs, the kids, his 4 brothers, their wives, their kids, my sister and brother, their spouses, their kids, the grandparents. I have a whole tribe or entourage and animals and children of varying ages, teenagers, like it's a hot mess when we're traveling, right? And so when I hear rules and this and that, right, it doesn't always apply to me. People say, well, don't, the cleaning, you got to clean this and clean that at the end. Listen, the person who's going to do all that cleaning at checkout is me. And nothing's more stressful than, okay, I've got a herd of cats, right? And now I have to clean and load the laundry and load. So I can appreciate who my guest avatar is. I'm like, leave everything, go on your merry way, And so it's a different experience. It's a different model. We have high chairs, we have strollers, we have the baby pen, we have the little baby bath, because imagine loading a car with all of that, there's not going to be room for people, right? So those are the things that we think about as well. There was a question, was that you, April?
Yes, that was me. So in terms of the rental arbitrage model, how are you convincing, I guess, these owners in terms of your script? Like, why wouldn't they want to do it themselves? What benefits are you giving them to be able to sign a contract with you? Do you sign a longer lease, like a 2-year lease? Do you have any stipulations in your contract? And then also, with that same model, how are you addressing repairs and maintenance? Are you the primary contact person? Do you still contact the owner in terms of the toilet goes out, or are you the one? Are you essentially property managing it completely and then taking that property off of their hands and just paying them a steady rent?
That's a great question. So we have several questions there, and April, correct me if I forget, one of them. So in the beginning, the script it really is understanding your value. Okay, you're a responsible professional. Say you've already hosted, right? Do you have a rental? If you have a rental, hands down, you already provide value. But if you don't have a rental, you leverage, whether it's your project management skills, or whether it's your knowledge of the industry, or you partner with someone. So my script, honestly, was, hey there, hey there. No, but my script essentially was, and I kid you not, and I know this is probably going to be controversial, but it really is, hello, my name is Rachel of, Short-Term Gems, or Rachel of Luthen Enterprises. It depends on which business I'm representing at the moment. My name is Rachel of Luthen Enterprises, and I'm here today to see, and here's the good news. You're reaching out to them because they have a property that's out there somewhere, right? So they're the ones who are looking for a renter. I noticed your property here on Zillow. I cater to traveling professionals, and whoever you cater to, I cater to travel professionals. I want to see if this property would meet the needs of my guests. That's where I started. Is that going to work for everyone? Probably not. And you know what? They say, sure, come and look. And I go in there like I own the place. Honestly, I have a chip on my shoulder and I'm like, I don't know. And I'm sorry, but I come in there with a certain swagger, because at the end of the day, you are the secret sauce, right? So here's what I tell them. Okay, so here's how our company works. Yeah, it looks like it might work, but here's how our company works. We have traveling professionals that come in from the filming industry. They stay anywhere from 3 weeks to 13 weeks. We provide, we would stage this place. Here's an example, and I don't care if it's your own personal house. Show them how you decorated and cleaned your personal house. Here's an example of what our properties look like. We stay in business by giving these guests or these professionals or these executives a 5-star stay. We have professional cleanings in between each guest. Imagine a long-term landlord who hasn't seen their house in 2 years, and they come and it's like a hot trash mess. So therefore, our property has to stay stage ready, for sale ready at all times. We provide, and you go through the list, you talk about your deep clean for your COVID clean, we provide COVID clean. We take care of the repairs. We do take care of minor repairs, but we do ensure that, there are insurances you can put in place to take care of minor, like if the furnace goes out, no, because that's not gonna, but if it's something the guest does, you better believe you would be responsible. We would be responsible for that, so minor repairs, anything under $200, I eat that cost, right? Because you are that landlord's best renter, period. Like my rentals are cleaner than my own house. And I'm ashamed of that. You know, my renters live better than but you know, you are that landlord's best. And in order for you to stay in business, you have to pay rent on time. You're going to pay market rent. You're not going to lowball them, right? Of course, it needs to be fair, make sure it's fair rent, but you're going to pay market rent. You're going to pay on time. You are running a business, right? And so anything you can put in that little credibility package, I don't care if it's a brochure that you go to Staples and you high gloss print 3 brochures, or you slap up a landing page, you come up with a business card, you come in there like the professional that you are with the chip on your shoulder, and you show them how, hey, I think this might work. Here's who I am. And if you have a reference or two, you send that along as well. Okay, does that help?
It really does. I think all of the things that you said were fantastic. I think the most important thing that you said was really believe in your model and go in there knowing your value. And so thank you for that perspective. Instead of going in there trying to convince them to sign this contract, you have to want them to want to do it. So I love that. I love that aspect about it. So thank you so much, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. And later on, you'll see that, as you grow in this business, they'll be seeking you out, right? So definitely bear that in mind. So operate in that way, and I think it'll definitely pay dividends. All right, let's see. So we talked a little bit about the pain points, guys. Understanding that guest avatar, that mom who just had a vacation where she was doing all the cooking. Now she's got to clean before she leaves. Don't do that to her, right? Or that dad, right? It could be that type of family where, everyone's hands are in the pot. If it's a nurse, a traveling nurse, understand what their needs are. Blackout blinds, guys. Earplugs. So for our smaller units, our accessory dwelling units or our carriage houses, if we're hosting a travel nurse, blackout blinds, guys, earplugs, noise machine. We put that little white noise machine in that unit because that is a shift worker. So while they're sleeping, there could be some construction going on during the day. You want to make sure that they can, emulate a nighttime sleep type of scenario. And guess what? Once you highlight it and you can really serve that guest, once you can serve them and they identify you're the only one who understands them, no one understands them the way you understand them, and you have all these things pictured in your property, we're pet friendly, guess what? They pay a premium for it. They will pay a premium for it because they know that you've got them covered, okay? So understanding your guest avatar is one of the most effective ways to create a top performing and highly profitable luxury short-term rentals. So just wanted to emphasize that as well. This is where a property where we understand our guest avatar. We had the executive director of the Walking Dead stay here at this particular unit. This is a gal who, she is working from home. Her standing desk is there. She's got dual monitors. She's got the mic. And this is a property that when we took it on, we actually purchased it. This is our most expensive property that we purchased to date. So our pricing, and I'll just throw out the numbers, we buy from $175K to $462K is the highest we've ever paid to date. That's going to change later on because we got another situation going on, but I'm proud to say no higher than $462K. I love a bargain if you can't tell. But this property was generating $1,800 a month of revenue as a long-term rental. And we've rented it out anywhere from $15K to $28K per month. And so that's a big difference. And that's what you can do in the short-term rental world when you really understand your guest avatar and you meet their needs. This is a portfolio of 10 properties that we have in the Poconos, both owned and managed. And so these 10 homes generated a record-breaking multiple 6 figures in July. So record-breaking. So this is 10 properties. And yeah, those are the numbers. So that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. I know we're at the top of the hour here. So any questions? Any other questions?
So incredibly compelling. I am sold. Where do I buy one? Let's do this. one last question. You know, I know that you do some offerings for people who want to, you can't possibly talk about everything in 1 hour, right? So if people want to know more about how to, you know, potentially work with you, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Oh, so thank you for asking. Let me see if I have a little slide. So I do have a course that we just launched. It's Luxury Short-Term Rental Academy. And so the course, the card is open now. If you guys want to join, it's shorttermgems.com/enroll. Shorttermgems.com/enroll if you're interested in joining. Otherwise, you can find me. Check me out on Messenger. I can get you a calendar link and we can connect. Just let me know where you're from because I do get a lot of inquiries. But if you're from aspiring women, of course, you will get priority. So yeah, just message me if you have a specific question. If you need some support in any way, let me know. But if you do want to join the course, I think the card closes on October the 2nd. So it's not something that's open year round, but shorttermgems.com/enroll for this cohort.
Love it. Last question. I love getting to watch Friends on TV. So when you are Netflix famous, do you know anything about when that is set to air, or even can you say the name of the show?
Yeah, I'm still under NDA, but I do know it's going to air in the spring of 2022. So as soon as they lift my non-disclosure, I will definitely send it out to you guys. Let's do a watch party. What do you think, Mandy?
Oh my God, I love it. I love everything about it. So cool.
Awesome.
Well, I am so grateful for your time and so grateful for, you know, your sharing here. We're going to be posting this for anybody who missed a little bit of the beginning, and I'll post those links as well. Rachel, from the bottom of my heart, I miss you, girl. I want to see you soon, okay?
I know, we got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Bye, guys.